August 11th, 480 BC. Dawn breaks over the Aegean Sea as King Xerxes' army of 100,000 Persian warriors marches toward the Hot Gates. 300 Spartans, under King Leonidas, prepare to hold a mountain pass 60 feet wide against impossible odds. Bronze shields, iron discipline, and spears are all they've got. Then reality tears open. A flash of light splits the narrow strait between cliff and sea. When it fades, something impossible sits in the shallow water, half a mile offshore. USS Iowa, 887 feet of American steel, 58,000 tons, 9 16-inch guns that can delete entire city blocks from 24 miles away. It's 2,945 years out of place, and it just appeared in a war fought with bronze and iron. There's no explanation, no warning, just a battleship from 1990, floating in water that shouldn't support it, radar spinning, crew staring at mountains that weren't there 10 seconds ago. The Persians see a metal island that shouldn't exist. The Spartans see a fortress sent by the gods. Neither understands what they're looking at. So what happens when 58,000 tons of modern firepower defends the most famous last stand in history? Can Xerxes' army of 100,000 overcome 9 naval cannons and 20th century technology? Or does Thermopylae become the shortest battle ever fought? Let's start by looking at what just crashed into ancient Greece. The USS Iowa is the most dangerous thing to exist in 480 BC, and it's not even close. She's an Iowa-class battleship, commissioned in 1943 and upgraded through the 1980s. At 887 feet long, she's longer than the entire Spartan phalanx stretched end to end. She displaces 58,000 tons, fully loaded. That's roughly the weight of 580 ancient triremes combined. Her armor belt is 12 inches of hardened steel. Persian arrows will bounce off like raindrops. The main battery is 9 16-inch Mark 7 guns mounted in 3 turrets. Each gun fires a 2,700-pound armor-piercing shell at 2,500 feet per second. Maximum range, 24 miles. One salvo, 9 shells, equals 24,300 pounds of high explosive, delivered in 60 seconds. The Iowa can delete an entire Persian division by accident. Secondary armament, 12 5-inch guns, 32 Bofors 40mm cannons, 49 Oerlikon 20mm autocannons. Combined firepower delivers 180 explosive shells per minute, each with a 30-foot kill radius. That's 5,400 square feet of death every 60 seconds. The Phalanx CIWS adds 4,500 rounds per minute, designed to intercept Mach 2 cruise missiles. Against massed infantry, it's biblical overkill. But here's the problem. The Iowa is stuck. Thermopylae isn't a harbor. It's a mountain pass with a narrow coastal strip. The battleship sits in 50 feet of water, hull scraping ancient seabed, unable to maneuver. She can rotate her turrets 270 degrees, and elevate guns from -5 to +45 degrees, but she can't move. She's a floating fortress with a fatal flaw: limited ammunition. The Iowa carries roughly 1,200 main battery shells, 15,000 5-inch rounds, and millions of smaller caliber bullets. Sounds like a lot, until you realize Xerxes brought an army that outnumbers every shell on board. On Xerxes' command platform 3 miles inland, scouts report the impossible. A metal fortress, no sails, no oars, no visible crew, just floating in the strait like a mountain fell from the sky. One scout swears he saw a tower rotating on its own. Another claims the metal reflects sunlight, like polished bronze but darker, colder. Xerxes orders his generals to ignore it, probably a Greek trick. Wooden scaffolding covered in sheets. It'll burn like everything else. Contemporary sources claim 100,000 to 300,000 Persian troops. Modern historians estimate closer to 70,000 to 100,000 combat-effective warriors. Even conservative, that's 80,000 targets. They fight with composite bows that fire arrows 300 yards, bronze-tipped spears, wicker shields, and linen armor. Their cavalry rides unarmored horses. The Iowa's AN/SPS-49 air search radar can track 100 targets simultaneously out to 150 miles. Xerxes' scouts use their eyes and can see maybe 3 miles on a clear day. The asymmetry is absurd. One side has computers, the other side has bronze. But wars aren't won by technology alone. They're won by logistics, and the Iowa just ran out of fuel 2,945 years before the first oil refinery exists. And that leads to the first contact. Xerxes has no idea what's about to hit him. 0600 hours. The Persian vanguard reaches the hot gates. 10,000 immortals, Xerxes' elite shock troops, march in perfect formation toward the Spartan line. They expect 300 men with shields. Instead, they see 300 men with shields standing in front of a metal mountain half a mile offshore that wasn't there yesterday. The immortals halt. Officers shout orders while archers knock arrows, and cavalry scouts ride forward to investigate. A Persian captain watches the metal structure. Something moves. A massive cylinder, longer than 3 houses, rotates slowly toward his formation, almost lazy, deliberate. He doesn't understand what he's seeing, just movement where there should be none. Then the world ends. On Iowa's bridge, Captain Mitchell stares at radar, showing 10,000 human-sized contacts, advancing in a pre-industrial formation. His weapons officer confirms visual contact. Bronze armor, spears, bows. This isn't a drill. This isn't a joke. This is 480 BC, and they're about to fire on troops armed with sticks. Mitchell gives the order anyway. Turret 2 rotates 30 degrees starboard. The barrel elevates to +5 degrees. One 16-inch gun fires. The sound is apocalyptic, a crack of thunder that shatters rock and ruptures eardrums 2 miles inland. Persians 4 miles away feel it in their chests before they hear it, a physical punch of compressed air that stops hearts and scatters birds from the mountains. The shell leaves the barrel at 2,500 feet per second, crosses 4 miles in 6 seconds, and impacts the center of the Persian formation with the force of a small earthquake. 2,700 pounds of high explosive detonates on contact. The blast crater is 50 feet wide and 12 feet deep. The kill radius is 200 yards. 400 immortals cease to exist. Not killed, not wounded, just gone, vaporized into red mist and bone fragments. Another 600 are shredded by shrapnel traveling faster than sound. The survivors, the ones not dead or dying or deafened or blinded, break and run screaming. They've never seen an explosion. Gunpowder won't reach Persia for another 800 years. To them, this is divine wrath made real, Zeus throwing lightning bolts, the gods themselves intervening on behalf of Sparta. But Xerxes doesn't believe in miracles. He believes in numbers. 0800 hours. The second wave advances. 20,000 troops in loose formation, spread across 2 miles of coastline. They're learning fast. Tighter clusters mean more casualties. Mitchell responds by switching to the 5-inch secondary battery. 12 guns open fire simultaneously. 55-pound shells rain down at 15 rounds per minute per mount. That's 180 explosions per minute across the entire Persian front line. Each shell creates a 30-foot kill zone. The math is brutal. Every 60 seconds, 5,400 square feet of beachfront turns into a meat grinder. Bodies fly. Sand turns to glass from the heat. The sea boils where shells land in shallow water. Persian commanders order a retreat after 8 minutes. They've lost 3,000 men and haven't gotten within 500 yards of the Spartan phalanx. Leonidas and his 300 haven't raised their shields once. They just stand there, watching the metal god do their fighting. 1,200 hours. Xerxes tries cavalry. 5,000 horsemen in a flanking maneuver along the mountain trail, attempting to bypass the pass and attack from behind. The Iowa's AN/SPS-10 surface search radar tracks them climbing the ridge 3 miles inland. Fire control computers calculate trajectory, windage, and elevation. The 5-inch guns adjust to +30 degrees and walk shells along the ridgeline like a farmer plowing a field. Explosions ripple across the mountainside in perfect sequence. Horses scream and bolt. Riders die before they understand they're under attack. Within 15 minutes, the flanking force is scattered wreckage spread across 2 miles of mountain trail. 1,400 hours. Xerxes pulls back to regroup. He's lost 8,000 men in 8 hours. His generals argue for retreat. Xerxes orders 2 of them executed for cowardice and begins planning the night assault. For the first 8 hours, it works. The Iowa is an untouchable god of war. Every shell finds its target. Every salvo breaks another Persian formation. Then, the ammunition counters start showing red. 1,800 hours. Sunset paints the hot gates red with more than just light. 1,216-inch shells sounds like infinite firepower until you fire 90 in 8 hours. That's 243,000 pounds of ordnance expended. The main battery is down to 1,110 rounds. The 5-inch guns have burned through 4,000 shells. At current rates, the Iowa goes dry in 4 days, and Xerxes has 72,000 troops left. The captain does the math. 9 shells per salvo, 123 salvos remaining. Optimistically, 1,000 enemy casualties per salvo if they're clustered tight. That's 123,000 maximum kills before the main battery goes silent. Xerxes can lose that many and still have infantry left over. 1,800 hours. Xerxes changes tactics. No more frontal assaults. No more cavalry charges. Instead, he sends 500 archers to positions 800 yards inland, using the cliffs as cover. They fire volley after volley at the Spartans still holding the pass. Bronze-tipped arrows fall in waves of 500 per minute. The Iowa's phalanx CIWS sits useless. It's designed to track radar-reflective missiles, not individual humans hiding behind rocks. The 5-inch guns could reach them, but 55-pound explosive shells on scattered archers is burning ammunition the Iowa doesn't have. The Spartans raise shields and endure. 12 men fall in the first hour. Leonidas pulls his phalanx back 200 yards, closer to the shoreline, using the Iowa's hull as cover from the arrow storm. 2,100 hours. Night falls, and Xerxes makes his real move. Under cover of darkness, 10,000 Persian infantry advance in small groups, 50 men at a time, using terrain and shadows and the cliffs themselves. No formations, no clusters, just independent squads crawling through rubble and hugging the mountainside where the Iowa's main guns can't depress low enough to target them. The Iowa's radar tracks them, but fire control computers struggle. 200 separate contacts moving independently, using rocks as cover, staying low. By the time a 5-inch gun locks onto one squad, it's already dispersed or gone to ground. Mitchell switches to the 40mm Bofors and 20mm Oerlikon autocannons. Tracers scream across the darkness at 450 rounds per minute, turning the mountainside into a light show of death. Explosive rounds detonate against rock and flesh. Persians die in the hundreds, but they keep coming. By midnight, Persian skirmishers are within 300 yards of the Spartan line. Some make it to 200 before Spartan spears or Iowa's machine guns cut them down. It's a war of attrition now, and attrition favors the side with 72,000 replacements. 300 hours, day 2. The Iowa's ammunition reports are grim. Main battery, 1,000, 20 rounds remaining. 5-inch secondary, 9,800 rounds. 40mm Bofors, 68,000 rounds. 20mm Oerlikon, 1.2 million rounds. Casualties inflicted since 0600 day 1. 12,000 Persian dead in 21 hours. Casualties sustained, 0. But the Spartans are down to 287 men, and Xerxes realizes something the Iowa can't fix. Troops climbing the rock face 50 feet above sea level are invisible to the battleship's fire control radar. The guns can't elevate high enough to hit enemies pressed against the cliff. He sends 2,000 men up the mountainside. 600 hours, day 2. Xerxes sends the entire army, not in waves, not in formations, all at once. 58,000 men flooding the pass like a human tsunami, accepting casualties, trading lives for yards of ground. The Iowa's main battery fires salvo after salvo into the mass. Each 9-shell salvo kills 80, 100, 120 men depending on clustering. It doesn't matter. For every 100 that die, 500 more keep advancing. The 5-inch guns fire until barrels glow cherry red. The Bofors and Oerlikons scream non-stop, chewing through ammunition belts faster than loaders can reload. Steam rises from overheating gun mounts. Spent shell casings pile 6 feet deep on the Iowa's deck. Day 2 casualties, 11,000 Persians killed. Day 3 casualties, 12,000 Persians killed as the main battery runs dry at 1,900 hours. Total, 31,000 dead in 3 days. Persian troops reach the Spartan phalanx at 900 hours. Day 2. 287 Spartans lock shields and hold the line with bronze and discipline and courage that transcends time itself. They kill 10 Persians for every Spartan that falls. It's not enough. By 900 hours, the phalanx breaks. Leonidas dies with a spear through his chest, surrounded by 40 dead Persians, and the knowledge that he held longer than anyone thought possible. The last Spartan falls at 0920. The pass is open, but the Iowa isn't done. Mitchell orders all remaining 16-inch shells fired directly into the cliffside above the pass. 270 rounds of high explosive collapse half the mountain. 10,000 tons of rock bury the approach under rubble and Persian bodies. It buys 6 hours while Xerxes' engineers dig through stone and corpses. By 1600 hours, they've cleared a path. 42,000 Persians remain. The Iowa has 340 16-inch shells, 2,100 5-inch rounds, and enough small-caliber ammunition to fight for another 18 hours. When the main battery finally goes silent at 1900 hours on day 3, Xerxes' army marches past the Iowa's hull, staying close to the cliffs where the guns can't reach. They don't board, they don't attack. They just walk past the metal god that killed 31,000 of their brothers and continue south toward Athens. So, who wins? Xerxes. Eventually. The Iowa kills 31,000 Persians in 3 days. That's more casualties than the entire Greco-Persian wars inflicted over 50 years of conflict. It's a kill ratio of 31,000 to 0. The battleship never takes a single casualty. Not one sailor dies. Not one system fails. Every shell fired hits its target. Every tactic works exactly as designed. And it doesn't matter. Wars aren't won by kill ratios. They're won by logistics. The Iowa brought 1,200 shells to a fight that needed 80,000 bullets. Even if every 16-inch round killed 100 men, perfect efficiency, mathematical ideal, the battleship runs out of ammunition before Xerxes runs out of bodies. The Persians win by doing what they've always done, absorbing catastrophic losses and advancing anyway. Bronze Age warfare is a math problem, and Xerxes has more soldiers than the Iowa has explosives. But here's what changes. Thermopylae isn't a Spartan last stand anymore. It's a 3-day apocalypse where 300 men in a battleship hold a pass against 100,000 warriors and kill 31% of them before the ammunition runs dry. Xerxes reaches Athens 3 weeks later, but his army is shattered. The naval battle at Salamis becomes a slaughter because Persia no longer has enough troops to support their fleet. Plataea finishes what the Iowa started. Greece survives. Western civilization continues, and 2,500 years later, America builds the Iowa to fight wars the Greeks made possible. Time is a circle, and it just ate its own tail. Or what do you think would happen? Could the Iowa have won with different tactics? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see what happens when a modern fighter jet battles at Midway, check out the video on your screen. Thanks for watching.